All right, we gonna get this rolling. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So welcome everybody to episode number 8 of Breaking Barriers, a mental health discussion. I am so excited because this is literally the last episode of the season. So y'all know it's gonna be fire before we do this whole season finale that I got working up for y'all for episode number 9 at that point. But that'll be next month. So we focusing on this month right now. So breaking barriers, is typically a discussion between me and another person where we are talking about taboo topics that usually have a lot of stigma around them so that we can get people more comfortable with being able to have conversations with one another and be able to support each other on this mental health journey. So my name is Chetina Hunter, and I am the creator of Always Live Lovely, as well as the host of this wonderful podcast. If you don't know about Always Live Lovely, go subscribe, go follow. I'm everywhere, like Instagram, YouTube. This is on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on Google, whatever you would call the Google podcast. It's all over the place. And honestly, I just created a TikTok. So if y'all stumble upon that, follow your girl. I'm everywhere. I'm trying to do it. And also just know it takes a lot of work to go into creating this podcast, putting out free content. So if you're feeling it in your heart to just give a little bit to a Black owned business, you can absolutely do that. I will share the link below where you can do that. And if you need any type of consultations, any type of support with mental health, you can slide on over to my website at www.alwayslivelovely.com, and I will help you out because we all need a little bit of care for our mental health. So, back to this episode number 8 of Breaking Barriers, a mental health discussion.
Always living lovely. Just don't let the times go by. Do something. You don't gotta go outside yourself to prove nothing. You can lean on me if you need a hand. You can lean on me if you need a friend. You know that I got you. You know that we got you. Yeah.
Okay, so episode number 8 today, y'all, we are talking about the topic of marriage. And I thought this would be a really good topic because everybody got an opinion these days because marriage has just changed so much since the beginning of time. There has been role changes. There has been changes to the purpose of it. A lot of people have emphasis on really keeping it to what it should be, especially within the Christian community. It holds a lot of different values of what the role should be, how the man should seek after the woman. But then we're like on social media and we see women are proposing to men, as well as we have the LGBTQ plus community. And then we have different people that are in relationships that are like polyamorous and everything else in between, and people just doing literally what makes them happy and what makes them feel good. And I felt like we should talk about it because I've also seen videos floating around to where people are kind of like, are we still even dating to marry at this point? Like, what is really the point of all of this, and is marriage even needed? So I really had to get my hand in my bag, y'all, and I had to pull out a gem. And so I'm bringing to y'all today Miss Clarice Woods, the wonderful queen, and I am going to let her introduce herself.
Wow. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Um, I am Clarice. There's really not much to say. Like, I just consider myself just whatever, I just be chilling. But I hope to bring some perspective. I am not your traditional wife. Or shoot, now I'm an ex-wife. Or almost, but so I just hope I really love this platform and this idea of providing space for people who live outside of what is considered normal for society, and just kind of normalizing what's not normal, because really normal is how you define it. and i
Literally.
think and I think that it's really important that we just create spaces for people to be their whole selves without having to subscribe to a
Mm-hmm.
societal norm.
Mm-hmm. I 100% vibe with that. And y'all, she over here talking about I don't really have anywhere. She's bomb.com. And that's why I put her on this episode, okay? Because I know that she is going to bring a lot of perspective, for people to be able to be like, and really just have a super lit episode. So we are just going to hop, skip, and jump right into it. And since we are talking about marriage, I'm wondering, like, for you growing up, like, what did you learn about marriage? What did you see in your household? Like, what was the concept?
So I grew up in the classic nuclear family. I had my parents married, uh, a hyper religious home. My father is a pastor. My mother, she is an evangelist. She's not as she's not as I don't know how to describe it. She's not as like subscribed to
Yeah,
like the religious not practices but like behaviors
yeah.
as she used to be. So like we used to be very very cut, no cursing, no drinking, no nothing. Didn't celebrate holidays. I mean, we didn't celebrate Christmas because Christmas was about Jesus, it wasn't for us. Didn't celebrate
Mm-hmm.
Halloween because that was the devil's holiday. I'd be like, really? But yet and still, it was very much, they spoke a lot about being married and all of that thing and everything like that. um my great Most of my great grandparents were married, but like my grandmother was divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had different views and different perspectives but of how I grew up. I grew up with both my parents in the home until I was about 19 years old, and then they divorced. And so that definitely was a change for me. It wasn't something that upset me a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
but because by then I was kind of grown, and so it was like I was kind
Damn.
of grown. I mean, not
Mm-hmm.
quite, but so by then it's just like, okay, well, that freaking sucks, but I'm not being uprooted. I'm not having to like
Mm-hmm.
split time between, whatever. So, not having to have dealt with that, I think was, I don't know. I think it would have impacted me differently had I been younger.
Yeah,
But
true. Mm-hmm.
but chilling.
Yeah. And
I mean, I wasn't chilling, like it's a
right.
serious thing when your parents get divorced. It doesn't matter how
I
old
hear
you
you,
are,
like
but
I'm just sitting here chilling.
yet, like it is what it is. And so now both my parents have remarried. My father's still a pastor, and my mom's still Christian, but not like a practicing
Mm-hmm.
evangelist and all of that stuff like that. So and I've been married once. And
Yeah.
so I've really had this idea of like this nuclear family. I totally subscribe to that
Mm-hmm.
growing up. Totally just love the idea of being married and with kids and just growing up. And I guess, as I'm like leaving my marriage now, the marriage that
Mm-hmm.
I was in, I realized in a hindsight how much I still had that idea of the nuclear family in my head, and how I feel like I
Yeah.
needed to achieve that in order to, have something for myself, or
Mm-hmm.
as a part of my self-worth. And now I don't give a fuck.
You like now I live by my own rules. Do whatever the heck it
Yeah,
is I
listen, I'm
want to
totally ready to be a cat lady at this point. No shame. No
do.
shame.
Listen, I think that it's real important that you pointed out, first of all, like, the difference in experiences between if your parents had divorced when you were younger versus you being a little bit older, kind of being able to understand probably a little bit more and see things for what they are. So that's really important because I know that's different people's experiences, to where sometimes like the kids will internalize, like, oh, it's my fault that they broke up. And when you're older, you're like, okay, well, maybe I can see why this didn't necessarily work. And I even hear you in saying just this whole concept and idea of the nuclear family, which I feel like that's a huge thing that society pushes on everybody. Like, it has to be kind of like this white picket fence. Like, that's what people see when it comes to being married, which is probably why people fantasize the whole wedding and the, festivities of it all. Cause it's like, like I've arrived, I've reached the goal until you get into the
Exactly.
nitty gritty part of
It's considered
things.
the pinnacle of like your life experience, is you
Mm-hmm.
being able to find a mate and have 2.5 kids.
Right. Which shouldn't even be what your whole identity is surrounded around. And
Exactly.
I'm wondering, just like, even when it comes to, like, you saying, like, with coming out of the marriage that you were in and saying, like, you still had that concept of like the nuclear family and wanting to achieve that, do you feel like just like your view in hindsight has changed overall of what marriage is, or even what marriage is supposed to be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So uh I think you might have mentioned it, but like in my last marriage, it was a polyamorous marriage, and so even that is very much an extreme from
Mm-hmm.
what I came from. And now leaving this marriage, I'm really, and it started in the marriage. So like my views now started in the marriage,
Okay.
and it branched out from being or from practicing like polyamory, being polyamorous, and getting to the point where you realize I cannot rely on one person to provide
Mm.
all of my needs. Um, and that just goes beyond like sexual, like there were some relationships that I had that, there had nothing to do with sex.
Right.
Um, it's not always about that. And like now I'm real into damn near like relationship anarchy. If I
Mm-hmm.
ever were to get married again, it would be damn near like a business transaction, and not in a bad
Okay.
way,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
not in a bad way, but in a way that's like, if you think about what marriage is, right? It's a contract between two people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got that whole love and hold or whatever, cherish and all that cute stuff. But love is not going to hold you, it's
Mm-mm.
about a partnership.
Right.
It's about how well do you work together.
Mm-hmm.
And now my focus is on creating a village.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm talking about, if I were to get married again, it would be to my homegirl. And
Mm-hmm.
so that her kids, so that our kids could both share the benefits of marriage, property acquisition and like health benefits and insurance,
Right.
and things of that nature, um, without there needing to be a romantic
Mm-mm.
involvement. I won't say romance complicates things, even though it does, but just like love, while beautiful, is not sustaining.
Right. It
And
takes more. It takes more to
excuse
keep
me,
that truck going.
you're talking about decades, and I think about my great grandparents, which is who were together until they passed. I mean, until they passed
Yeah.
away, but they didn't really like each other, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't want to be like that, I don't want to be constantly forgiving someone's whatever's. Um, and like the romance, it really can, for me right now, and again, my perspective right now is absolutely biased as I'm going through a divorce.
Uh-huh.
Let me just say that out
Good.
loud.
Put it out there.
Like, I'm really, if it sounds like I'm anti-marriage, it's because it's really fucking the pits right now. So I'm not trying to discourage anyone from getting married, but it's absolutely about finding what's right for you as a
Right.
person. And that really starts with getting to know who you are as a person. Like, you have to fall in love with yourself first. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be providing all of your needs and all of your happiness first. And then saying, hey, I'm down to share this with you.
Right.
And I didn't do that. So
Okay.
like, I can say for myself, I didn't do that. And I had, going into this marriage, I had 3 children. And so a lot of my ideas around my own self-worth, self self-worth, take
Uh-huh.
this, was surrounded by my ability to get a husband or a man or somebody to
Right.
find me
Mm-hmm.
valuable, despite
Mm-hmm.
my being tarnished because I have children outside of from
Mm-hmm.
out previous relationships or whatever. And I think a lot of that clouded my judgment and had me ignoring red flags that
Yeah.
I
Yeah. That's real.
that now that I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm at a point where it's just like, oh, okay. Oh, I'm not okay. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah.
Yeah. And that's super important that you got to that point to where you're just like, okay, what your non-negotiables are going to be and what's like intolerable. And it's real that people will feel like, dang, they got a whole bunch of baggage because they have kids, and like, who's going to want to marry somebody with a bunch of kids, and how that really can play a part in maybe sometimes settling, or like you said, overlooking red flags that were always there, that you're like, oh, okay, it's cool. And you just touched on so many amazing things, even just a part of like longevity of marriages. Now granted, there are some people that are very much happy and in love and like best friends, and then they're also like, as we know, marriage is work. And that's why I really like, when I talk to people, I'm like, it's more than just a wedding, y'all. Like, this is the
Hmm.
actual, like, you got to be willing to partner. You got to know yourself. They got to know themselves, know what you're bringing to the table. Like, it is much more than just the lovey-dovey roses and rainbows, because things may not always feel like it's butterflies flying all over the place. And then so it's real that it gets to a point with people that have been together for years, or some people that have only been together for a couple of years, of like not liking each other anymore, or once like the roses and the clouds have faded away, it's like, oh, I actually don't want to put up with this part of you, or oh, I actually wish that you would change this about yourself.
100%. Or even really just getting to the point where you can't go 20 years and not change as a
Right.
human.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you're not changing together.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at that, it just is what it is. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you just you grow in different directions, not go in different directions, but you grow in different directions, and that should be okay.
Right. Right.
And that was and that's a part of why I like really support polyamory, because I feel like if I have other people that fulfill little pieces of, that help me,
Mm-hmm.
that are helping me to fulfill, whatever, whatever need. And not to say that I can't fulfill my own needs,
Mm-hmm.
but really that like if I have this person that I vibe with and energetically in this way, and these other ways, that as I grow, and I feel supported all around
Right.
holistically, versus trying to get a partner to support me in the way that I feel that I need
Mm-hmm.
them to. And they might not be able to, and that's got to be
Mm-hmm.
okay. And yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to be okay, even with you saying like, even in a monogamous relationship, not fully becoming dependent on the other person to
Absolutely.
where it becomes
Absolutely.
unhealthy.
Hmm.
You got to be able to have friends. Like, you got to be able to have a support system outside of that one person being your support, and got to be able to find support within yourself too. So it goes the same across the board. Um, but oh, definitely in being like the way that you grow. And it's true that people, a person will want another person to grow throughout life. And I feel like when people go into marriages, they have to be willing to not only fall in love with the person that's in front of them, but have that flexibility of knowing like this person could change, and can you put up with the ebbs and flows, and as they grow and who they become, as well as the things that, not going into a relationship trying to change anybody, but wondering like, can
Yes.
you be okay if this person never changed these habits? Like, is that
Yes.
going to be tolerable and fine for you?
So a couple, yes, 100%. So, and a couple things, like one, I feel like society, American society especially, can be very isolating when it comes to that idea of the nuclear family. Like, you're supposed to have your cute little bubble, and then that's it. And you're not
Mm-hmm.
really supposed to have, or if you do, it's got to be other married people. And, you guys got like bubbles that's in,
Right.
and so that in and of itself can be really isolating, and that's not healthy for humans, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing is, when and going into a relationship, even if you are monogamous, or whatever. Oh girl, I lost my train of thought. I got it back.
Okay.
Expectations.
Uh-huh. Yes. Uh-huh.
There's So the thing is, this is something I learned in like a marriage, like I was taking like this marriage class at church for a
Uh-huh.
while. um And what they're saying is that an expectation is not valid unless it is conscious,
Mm-hmm.
spoken, realistic, agreed upon. I feel like there were 5, but I'm just gonna give
We're
you
gonna
4.
float with them folk.
We're just gonna float with the 4. So 1, it has to be conscious. Sometimes we have expectations that are unconscious, and we don't even realize that we have an expectation until we're disappointed. And then from there, it has to be spoken. You have to make it known.
Right,
Like,
people can't
hey,
read your mind.
exactly.
This is not a
Like,
bond.
this is not cool. And then it has to be realistic. Is this something that this person is really capable of? Is this something that you really have the right to be asking for?
Right. Do they even have the capacity to give that to you?
Exactly. You know, do you have the capacity to receive it? And then it has to be agreed upon.
Right.
You can't put an expectation on someone and they not be like, okay, you know, actually, yes, I can do that, or no, I can't. You have to give people the space to be like, to choose. You know, you have to give them the space to decide for themselves. Like I say that that's like something too, like with polyamory, you have to set expectations and boundaries. You have to say, okay, I'm not in a space where I'm ready to be monogamous, or I'm ready to be with just one person. I'm not ready to date exclusively. I'm not ready to only talk to one person you know, or talk to just you. I'm not ready to do that. And you have to give the person the space to decide for themselves if that's something that they want to continue with. And if they do, and that's their choice. And if they make us think about it, you can be like, excuse me, here are the receipts where I came to you and I let you know my capacity, and you can either accept it or walk away. And you chose to accept it. Now, if we need to revisit it, then let's revisit it. But what you don't have the right to do is come down on me about it, you know?
Right. All conscious decisions. And, you know,
Absolutely.
even with when it comes to having a polyamorous relationship, because I don't know if you were poly before or if it became something in the marriage, but also like what have been the benefits and the challenges that you saw like arising maybe pre-marriage versus like being in a marriage?
So I was not poly before we got married. Poly was something that kind of developed
Okay.
for us. When I got married, he really gave me this, or before we got married, and into a like dating relationship, he really gave me the space to be my full queer self, which
Yeah.
is something that no other partner has ever done for me. And so it kind of started there, and just kind of gradually open and open and open. So the benefits being that you don't have to be tied down, you know, not to say that everybody feels that way about it, but it's nice to have the freedom to connect with people and not feel restricted about it.
Yeah.
um and it's hard to do. Polyamory is extremely hard, and it's largely unsuccessful because it's really hard for people to let go of jealousy, myself
Right.
included.
Right.
That possessiveness that comes with the whole societal view of a nuclear family, and the isolation that is supposed to come with it as well. Can't talk to nobody else. That might get you in trouble.
Right.
But when there's like no trouble, or like a different set of consequences, or you know, whatever setup, then it's different. And it's that level of freedom to kind of navigate where I don't feel kind of choked out.
Yeah.
Was really nice. Challenges being trust. You really have to trust your partner. You really, really have to trust your partner, and they have to trust you, and you have to be worthy of that trust.
Yeah.
Part of the reason my marriage, part of the reason, part that my marriage didn't work out was because there was not trust. Like there managed to be infidelity in a polyamorous relationship. Like,
Yeah.
and what that comes from is that comes from saying I'm placing a boundary here, and then intentionally violating the boundary.
Right. Listen up today, y'all, because y'all probably sitting here talking about how can you cheat in a polyamorous relationship? She putting you on game right now.
You set a boundary. Person crosses the boundary within the relationship.
Just like
You know,
any other relationship.
after agreeing to it, you know, so then it becomes an agreed upon expectation. Then I got the right to be pissed, and now I'm gonna be pissed because it's like, how where they do that at? So, and so, but like I said, it's a small part, because when it comes to infidelity, I also just niggas cheat. Oh, almost. I mean, it'd just be something that people do, and so like that, and to me, isn't enough for me. I'm
Mhm,
speaking
mhm,
only for
mhm.
me. Really probably wouldn't have been enough to end a marriage, or I would have been
Right.
heated, or whatever, But it's like the things, usually when it gets to that point, there's already hella shit that's built up
Yeah,
up
that's
until
led up
then,
to it.
and then
Mhm,
at that point, it can be some kind, what kind of explosion.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's important because I mean, the reality is no matter what kind of relationship you in, you want to be in a relationship where it's okay and safe for you to set boundaries. Like you want to build towards
Mm-hmm.
a healthy relationship. It's okay for you to express and not have to walk around on eggshells. It's okay for you want to be in a relationship where somebody does wholeheartedly accept you as you are, whatever your goals and dreams and aspirations are, for you to kind of blossom into the full human that you're supposed to be. As well as, being able to just agree upon, like, how you're going to make things work, be able to have that healthy communication, that healthy love, and kind of define things on y'all term. Because I think a lot of the time as well, like, we get sold a particular idea, and then when it's not that, then it kind of is seen as like a failure, when
Right.
we probably don't really even understand what that idea truly means and what it truly consists of. So it's better sometimes to be able to define things, like, for yourself, and not necessarily feeling like you're going to have to hold so much judgment if it doesn't fall within this particular box,
Yes,
and
a thousand percent.
that's like, that's real, because all these relationships take a lot of work. All these relationships, people have to be willing to sit with and discuss the things that are difficult, rather than kind of like internalizing them and keeping them within, or seeking to where it does get to a point to where there's infidelity because of not being able to correctly come to your partner and kind of express to them what needs are lacking, or
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And sometimes that's because of the person's own inability to be able to fully express what it
Absolutely.
is that they want, what they need, and what it is that they're going through.
Right. You think about, like, have you seen Black Mirror?
Yes, I've seen some of those episodes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so did you see the episode with Anthony Mackie and Yahya Abdul Mateen the second?
Give me some.
Okay, so they were playing like video games, like this version
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah,
Mortal
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kombat,
Okay, I got you. I got you. I got you.
right?
Mhm.
So you think about that, and just in terms of how it ended, and it's kind of letting people be themselves, like letting them explore things
Mhm.
and see what works for them. What else? I had something else that came to mind with that, or like people who have kinks, right? So
Uh-huh.
people who have kinks that their partner isn't into, so they go see, somebody, say they have like a super submissive kink, and they want to be like wrapped in
Right.
leather and, called a stupid
All
dirty
of that.
whore.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not my fucking kink. Like, I don't ever kink shame her. There are people who like bodily waste as a kink.
Mhm.
It's not my kink, but
Mhm.
I part of me, I think part of being a good partner is being able to say, okay, I can't provide that for you. Go ahead and go,
Mhm.
go
Mhm.
seek and be fulfilled in that. Why would I want to stifle you? Because
Mhm.
what, I own you, like you're my or
Mhm.
my wife, or my, spouse. Like, no, that shit don't work. It's not cool. You can't stifle another human
Yeah.
like that, man. We want to be blossoming, always blossoming.
Yeah, and that's important, and people can find that, you can find that in a monogamous relationship too.
You
Like she said, she's not
absolutely
trying to
can.
shame anything. It's just the core of, what we're getting at is just, finding that authentic person for you that can respect you and accept you in all dimensions of who you are, and whatever that needs to look like for you is what that needs to look like for you. If that comes in a traditional format, by all means, that's
Yeah.
fine. If it
I
comes in a different package, that's fine.
absolutely. I think the important part is you being able to decide for yourself what you want. If you want the nuclear family, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom and cook and clean and
Mhm.
drop out of college and, like straight out of 1952, you absolutely should fucking do it. And I support you 100% because it's what you want, and
Mhm.
not what you're being forced to do, or what you feel like you're being forced to do, or what you're being pressured to do.
Mhm. Right.
So.
Right. And I definitely that I feel like, one thing that you brought up, which is interesting because it reminds me of this video that I saw. I just now got TikTok, so I think I saw it on Instagram. But it was of this girl, and she was saying that she was in a marriage, but it was basically what you described. She was married to her best friend because that was the one person she knew that she can count on that's always going to be there, created like a village. They both had kids. And she was like, there was no romance necessarily involved, but she knew that when it came down to business, when it came down to raising a family, when it came down to making life decisions, if need be, that's the person that she trusts and that's the person that she wanted to be married to. And I thought that it was just, and I mean, like she said, like, either of them can go out and have full blown relationships because like they're not in the marriage for the romance, but they're in the marriage for the things that make logistical sense. And then who knows, maybe someday something will blossom, who really knows. But it was that whole concept of just kind of like showing that there are just so many dimensions that go into what can make a marriage work. So I think that is really interesting how you was like, hey, my next marriage might be like I married my homegirl. Like for this and this reason. And that's real. And there are people that are absolutely doing that.
Yeah, and I support that shit. Like a real relationship anarchy. Anarchy might not be the best word, but I like how relationship anarchy sounds. So I'm gonna say it. But yeah, you know, but I've always been that I into that idea of kind of breaking free from what society has said is acceptable.
Hmm.
I'm real like get a large plot of land, everybody go. Some people grow some shit, some people tend
Hmm.
to some animals. We all bring our skills and resources and pool them together into a real village. It's like back in the day. You the whole block, the whole city block.
Right.
You was outside playing. Everybody took care of one another. Your neighbor so and so could be whipping your ass.
Hmm.
And your mama would be like, "Oh, she had to whip your ass." And cool, I'm about to whip your ass too. Not
Right.
that I necessarily support corporal punishment, but just the idea of everyone coming together and everyone
Hmm.
taking part of raising up the next generation, or just helping out in some other way. It doesn't even have to be kid centered, child
Right.
centered.
Hmm.
Um, but just like helping, community.
Right.
How can we build community? How can we build community? Like the lady that married her best friend. There was another pair of ladies that both had kids that decided to move in together, and sync their work schedules around the kids. It's all about community and building community.
Right. And
So
it makes me think of like, because I know in the beginning, and people probably gonna give me the side eye for this, but if you definitely grew up in a Christian, especially with you bringing up that your father's a pastor, so if you definitely grew up in like a religious, like background, and we know how like that can like it's very straightforward, straight and narrow, like what the Bible says, and then so as you go throughout life, like you begin to maybe expand or become more spiritual or have more defining things that feel more right or feel that like it is what probably God intended more than what you feel like you're being told. And so it makes me think of like for people that have like religious backgrounds that, maybe do want to try polyamorous relationships or, do want to be in a monogamous relationship, but don't want to feel so restricted. Like, what is just your view on that, on how to just shake free of those things to find like true freedom, but still be able to have a relationship with God? Like, not saying that, oh, once you do this, then you're a whole sinner and that's it. And you're just kicked out of, you're just being kicked all the way straight into hell, one way ticket. Like, I don't subscribe to any of that. Like, I'm kind of just like, I love the Lord and I also believe that he wants us to love one another, like in the way we're supposed to be loving and have freedom in our senses and not be in these restricted boxes that make us feel more shame every single day.
yeah, I'm real radical when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to kind of just religion and spirituality in general. I'm not atheist or anything like that. I 100% but how I look at religion and these different faith systems
Mm-hmm.
like this: 5 + 2 = 7. So does 4 + 3. So
Mm-hmm.
does 1 + 6. So does 0 + 7.
Right.
The answer is 7. And so I feel as though it's now when it comes to unlearning, you have to be willing. And that's really where it starts. If you're not willing to unlearn, if you're and it also starts with being willing to be scared. When I
Mm-hmm.
first started to unpack Christianity and move away from it, like I believe Jesus is real. I
Mm-hmm.
believe the doctrine, like I believe that the Bible is a very holy and sacred
Mm-hmm.
text. Um, I believe all of that. The only thing I think, the reason that I don't consider myself a Christian now, or I can't fundamentally consider myself a Christian, because I just don't think that Jesus is the one solid way, the
Mm-hmm.
only single path to um, an afterlife of, peace and paradise. And um, damn it, I'd be losing my train of thought so quick. And Jesus is, and I also have a very hard time believing that what you choose to do for about 70-75 years of your life, if you're
Mm-hmm.
lucky, should not decide an entire eternity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just where I stand, where my um, beliefs differ. Like I'm here for a not a long time. So
Yeah.
you can't, anyway, I said that I said all that to say, when I first started to unpack Christianity and my beliefs in that, I was very scared. I was very
Yeah.
scared that I was going to go to hell. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm not, but
Literally.
I'm like, I'm about to go to hell. Like, for
Right.
even thinking this kind of stuff. But at the same time, this is, like, it's there. So you have to be willing to go through that space. You have to be willing to even think outside the box. And it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that that's something that I learned too, as I'm not drinking anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the other stuff I was doing too. So I ain't doing y'all don't need to know all that.
Y'all need to know her business.
That's not my business, but it's a choice. You have to choose. And some people can and some people can. You just gotta um you can hope that they make the right choice. Yeah, or the right choice, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
right choice is. And not even the right choices, and there's one right choice, but the right
Right.
choice is in what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's a big lesson of mine that I've been learned, and that comes from like unpacking Christianity, living a polyamorous lifestyle, being married, all of that. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're willing to make that choice, then everything will kind of like, once you decide what you want to do, the universe will just be like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here you go. We're gonna start moving you there. Is that what you want? Cool. Moving you there. Or God, if you believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the Bible speaks about all of this stuff too. It's about how you choose to interpret it. Again, a choice.
That part right there.
You can choose, life and death is in the power of the tongue. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus was saying you can do all these things. You can do all these things that I'm doing. You got to choose to believe to do that you can do it and choose to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Choose to do the work. Faith without works is dead. Um, so I think it's all, it's how you view yourself, how you view life, and how you view where you want to go.
Yeah. That's deep. And that's really real, because I know that I'm sure there are a lot of people that, that whole fear is very much real, of like anything outside of what they say you're supposed to be thinking. You're like, oh, dang it, I'm going
Girl.
straight to hell. And so it gets real difficult. And then, but sometimes, that like, sometimes people experience the greatest love of God, through taking that path, the greatest freedom that they could ever experience that God has for them for taking that path. And it's really just, having an expanded mine. But I could go on and on about that. We might have to say that for a
Hey,
different
listen, I'm ready for that.
episode. But I am curious about love languages. And just like over your course of just your life, being in relationships, being a child, being a teenager, being an adult, just everything. Like, do you feel like you've learned more at this point about how you receive and give love after it's all said and done?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I feel like I have a lot of love for the people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can be very generous, very giving, with not just material things, but my time,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like I need to help or wanting to help when I feel someone might be in need of it. Um, I feel like I receive love the same way, just kind of overall support. Like, how can I support you? Is something that I say a lot. Um, Even though I sometimes don't be wanting to give out the support, I'd be like, "How can I
Mm-hmm.
support you?" And they'd be like, "Okay, you can do this," and I'd be like,
Oh,
"Ooh,
okay.
I can meet you right here," like
Hmm.
I gotta.
You
So
honest. You honest. There's a capacity. It works in all
again, a
relationships.
choice.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a choice. And so, just kind of, and then somebody said to me a while back when they were describing how they were upset with someone, and I said, well, why don't you say, why don't you just tell them that you're upset? And they said, they don't deserve my vulnerability.
Oh.
Right. And so again, a choice. I think it all boils down to it being a choice, you choosing to put yourself in the space where you can either give or receive
Mm-hmm.
love in the way that you give it or receive it. If I And yeah, just kind of even wanting to be in a space of either of healing, of whatever. And then I think about my own love languages in terms of what that test says. I think it was quality time. I think
Mm-hmm.
is the first is the, and that's really it. Even when I was married, like it was just come with me to the store. Just come with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just go. Let's just hang out. And I have to be mindful of that too, because and that's how like I can just sit and be in the same space as you. I can be you can be doing we could be doing two separate things, but it's like I need that energy connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think as a result, that's what I tend to give the most is just like being a body or providing some energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I was at my homegirl's house and I was probably there for like 4 days, and I had to tell myself like, okay, maybe you should just because I just be chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Here I go. But I really just be chilling, and I just I could just be in those spaces, and so and again like she would be working, doing whatever, and I would just be okay,
Yeah.
and that's how so when I think about love languages, um that's the kind of stuff I think about, just not needing to necessarily do much, or not needing to necessarily give much, or do
Mm-hmm.
something like that,
Yeah.
because I think the number two one was acts of service,
Okay.
and that don't really be like, I don't know how to I don't know how to describe it, but when I think about how I give love, it does mirror the what my love languages
Right.
are.
Right. And do you feel like it's harder to kind of keep up with that expression and understanding of love languages on both ends or all ends when it comes to like a polyamorous relationship?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then like another thing too is making sure that, say your partner in your monogamous relationship or polyamorous relationship, I mean, if they don't speak your love languages, if they have
Mm-hmm.
completely different ones, you think in polyamory you can there's this space, there can be this space to have someone that does, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm curious about through like all the transitions that it is that have experienced, like mental health. How's it been? How you take care of it?
Whew. Girl,
Challenges.
I've had a I've had a hell of a time finding a therapist. It's just has not been an easy process for me. And then I'm also picky. So let me start there because I refuse
Yeah, you know what you
a
want.
white. I refuse a white therapist, and that's there's no shade, but I need somebody who can. And any therapist I've ever had has always been of color
Okay.
or black, really. So I need that
Mm-hmm.
energetic. I need that cultural energetic connection. And so yeah, I had somebody who I thought, and then like they just never got back to me, and I was like, okay, like I reached
Mm-hmm.
out like 2, 3 times. Then I tried the like the telehealth one, like Better
Okay.
Health or something like that. That
Yeah.
was a little out of my budget. And so what I've been doing, because this has been a very trying time for me,
Yeah.
this has been an extremely like it's been fucking wild.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've been doing that has been extremely helpful is meditation
Okay.
and just seeking out a spiritually healthy village.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of connecting with other people who can, who like to meditate or do mindful practices. A lot of my family is in mental health. My mom's a therapist, my
Yeah.
cousin's a therapist, my aunt's a therapist, my
Oh, wow.
grandmother's a therapist. Yeah.
A whole family up there.
It's really is a whole family. Like when you look, so they because of that and because of that, I guess you could damn near call it a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't go to them for like therapeutic stuff,
Right.
but the practices, like the mindful, like taking deep breaths, tapping, um, just these energetical practices that
Mm-hmm.
help to create a healthy mental space. They always give to me.
Yeah. Pour
And
that
so
in.
putting that into play has been extremely helpful. So I
Mm-hmm.
will say, if you don't get nothing else from this damn podcast, meditate. Go take your ass out, take your shoes and socks off, go put your feet in the earth, and just take
Mm-hmm.
some deep breaths in. It doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be nothing like that. It just has to be literally sitting and being present and breathing.
Right.
And that's it. I think taking away a lot of the expectations
Mm-hmm.
surrounding meditation and stuff like that is very important. I mean, literally just sit and breathe and just kind of allow your mind to reset itself a little bit.
Right.
And
That's
so,
golden.
100%. And journaling's been a big freaking
Okay.
help because I get real scatterbrained. And my
Mm-hmm.
mouth and my brain, like the things I want to say, the things I want to say in here don't be coming out here. And I just be like, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So getting it down on paper is like also very releasing. Simple things like
Mm-hmm.
crying is very
Yeah.
releasing. I'm not really one to cry. It's not my thing. So it just like, I always thought of it as kind of useless. So, but now I'm just like, okay, allowing that. Cause you always
Mm-hmm.
feel better after you cry, right? You
Yeah.
ever
It's a
pay
healthy form of
attention?
release.
It is. And if you think about it, like, if you think about it symbolically as well, just the water washing away. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm just really trying to get in the freaking, like, trying to eat better and shit. Girl.
Listen, the food play a big part on
So
the mental health too. You ain't got to tell me.
it's really deciding to try.
Mm-hmm.
It all boils back down to choice.
It does.
I want my life to be better. I love you too.
Oh.
I want things. I know. So we can watch TV as soon as I'm done with this. Hold on. I'm pretty soon.
Oh, we got some special guests, y'all. Hi.
Mama. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Okay, here we go. Just like 30 seconds.
Hi. Hi. It's nice to see you.
Wait. Hold on. We're not taking the headphones out. Okay.
Like we want to be
Your
a part of
grandmother
the
called
party.
you.
What?
Your grandmother called you.
What's your name?
Her name
Chetina.
is Chetina.
Hi, Chetina.
Miss Chetina.
Hi.
Hi, Miss
There we go.
Chetina.
Hi. What's your name?
She said, "What's your name?"
My name's Asset.
So nice to meet you. I've seen some pretty pictures of you.
Oh, wait, hold on. We're not joining the show though. You gotta go. You
She's
gotta
like,
go.
let me get comfortable.
Okay, say bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, baby, go lay down.
I love you.
Oh,
So sweet. Oh my gosh.
she is.
I'm keeping that in the podcast.
Go for it.
Yes. So I definitely appreciate you, just highlighting a lot of things because it's really important. Some people never, go make it to therapy, and that's okay. And I always hope that when people interact with the content that I have, that they're able to take something from it. So knowing meditation, I always talk about that. Breathing, it's simple. It's there. Use it as an anchor. Journaling, doing all types of things that you can do in order to be able to stay grounded. And it's good that you were able to tap into those things and kind of use it as a resource to help you push your way through. And
Yeah, girl. I'm doing my best.
good. And you're gonna keep doing your best, and also, we just gonna kind of like wrap things up because you're talking about a lot. And I'm like, dang, it's so many more things that we could talk about. But I'm like, this would be like a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour podcast.
I'm not gonna lie, something like this deserves a part 2.
Right. And we could definitely do that. We can definitely, go a little bit deeper in like the season 2. We see y'all.
Like the story of Gangstalicious part 2.
Yeah. We definitely have some things cooking up for y'all. So I need you to tell people about yourself, where they can catch you at, about your business, because listen, y'all, I'm telling you, this is what we got going on. So just let the people know.
I mean, when you choose yourself, when you choose yourself. Anyway, my name is Clarice. I am the owner of a salon studio called House of Curls. I specialize in curly / textured hair, curls, coils, waves, that kind of nature. I also specialize in color. And, I just, I can also cut your hair. Your hair doesn't have to be curly for you to come sit in my chair. But that's the thing I love to do. That's my artistic expression is hair that I love. I used to have a podcast with my best friend. It was called Ho's Life. You probably can still catch it on whatever. It was on everything. So
Right.
if you look at it, HEA Ho's Life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's breaking up. Hold on 1 second.
Uh-oh.
It's breaking up just a little bit. Okay.
Is this better?
Okay. So you said that the podcast was called what?
Ho's Life.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Did you catch that? Okay.
Kind of.
It's called Ho's Life, HEAUX.
Okay.
And so yeah, we talked about a little bit of everything. We're transitioning now into something else called Real Nomad Shit. And it is for single mothers and warm girl summers.
Yep.
Not quite hot girls.
Warm. I like
and warm girl summers. So, but it is basically the idea is centered around creating that village again. And not, just kind of having been through the life experiences that she's been through and the life experiences that I've been through, and realizing again that, your support is really in your village. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that
So
is
keep on the lookout for that. We kind of just started pushing that up. So we just started that part. So
yes, be on the lookout and also check her out. Do you want to share what your Instagram handle is?
Yes. My Instagram. Okay. My Instagram handle is Hello Clarice. HELLOOOO, 4 O's. And then my name Clarice. So play on Silence of Lambs. Hello Clarice.
Nice.
Because I got it all the time when I was a little kid. So might as well. I mean, I still get it today. So might as well But you can find me almost everywhere on that. So hello Clarice on Instagram, Snapchat,
Okay.
Twitter, Venmo, Cash App.
She like, no.
Hello. My business Instagram is at _ House of Curls. And yeah, Bay Area hairstylist. If you're in the Bay and you got hair and you want it done.
Yeah, she got skills. Go check her out and her.
And if I can't do it, I can tell you who can.
See, listen, she gonna spread it around. She not just gonna be like, let me figure this out and have you all jacked up. No, she gonna send you somebody who could do it too. That's how you create community, you know?
Because it's about the village.
Yes.
It's about the village, and there's enough to go around.
Yes.
There's enough
doesn't have to be a competition. Doesn't have to be a competition.
Because what I have to offer, you could never offer. And what you have to offer, I could never offer. And that's how it is. And we're supposed to all just like put our offerings together and just make the world a lovely place.
A better place. Yes. And I'm so happy.
Heal the world.
Exactly.
Make it a better place for you and the entire universe. There are people dying.
Oh yeah, y'all didn't know that. By the way, y'all gonna get sick of me saying this, but she also my OSA family.
This is true.
Just so y'all know.
I was like, we don't have to bust out a number for them,
right? Just so that y'all
come
know.
through with that harmony.
Yes, and I have just appreciated you so much for being on this episode of Always Live Lovely. Like I told y'all, like, you know, go if y'all haven't listened to all the other episodes too, what you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Get it together.
Catch up. Look at the whole season before we get to that season finale. You can watch it on YouTube if you like the visuals, want to see the people. You can also listen to it through the podcast. That's why I created the podcast. It's there. And I got a poppin', you know, theme song. If you haven't heard that, that's going to be, you know, turned into a full song, hopefully before the summer is over. So really just get on it. Get onto this whole breaking barriers, you know, continue to do it within your circle, continue to break stigmas and talk about things that can be a little uncomfortable so we can get more comfortable talking with each other
100%.
about these things and helping each other with our mental health. So like, subscribe, follow, go like, subscribe, and follow Clarice. This has been just such an amazing way to just kind of like wrap up my individual, you know, conversations for this season. And then, you know, be on the lookout for episode number 9 because that will be the season finale, which will have a couple of the guests from this season overall, just talking with each other and having more examples of how to do this whole breaking barriers mental health discussion. So thank you so much, Clarice.
Of course. We actually are going to have to do a part 2 because I did have some questions for you. We didn't get to them because I was talking about myself all the damn time.
Oh yeah, we definitely can do a part 2 for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, girl. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.